Hi everyone. I've got my dressing gown and my pyjamas on and I'm all cosy, and I've got my little boy Edward's teddy and we're ready for a bedtime story. I'm going to read to you chapter 1 of one of my favourite stories, which is called Wed Wabbit by Lisa Evans. So I hope you enjoy it. Chapter 1. It was such an ordinary evening, but every detail of it would matter. Every detail would become vital. Wimberly woos, Minnie was wailing from her side of the bedroom. Weed me, Wimberly woos. In a minute, said Fidge. You're supposed to be drinking your milk. But it's all warm and it's got a skin on top and it's revolting. All right, I won't be long. Fidge was packing. In just under 36 hours, her mother, her sister aged 4, and herself, aged 10.5, were due to go on what was likely to be their best holiday for years, and she wanted to be ready. She also wanted to try out a high-density packing technique she'd seen on a programme about mountaineers. What you did was roll up each item of clothing into an incredibly tight sausage, secured with an elastic band. You then fitted the sausages in next to each other like a bundle of sticks. Fidge was going to attempt to put her entire holiday wardrobe into the very small backpack she used for school lunches. This was partly because she liked a challenge, and partly because she knew that her mother's luggage would, as usual, consist of a huge assortment of random bags, while Minnie never went anywhere without an armful of toys, which she then dropped at 5-second intervals. Somebody had to have both arms free for emergencies. Weed me, Wimberly woos, please. Not Wimberly woos again. Ask Mum. Sorry, Fidge, I can't, called her mother from the living room. I've got to finish making this hat by tomorrow morning. It's for a bride's mother and she's terribly fussy. Fidge groaned and got to her feet. Her sister's side of the bedroom was spectacularly untidy. As Fidge picked her way across to the bed, there was a loud squeak. Don't twed on Eleanor, screamed Minnie. Well, don't leave her lying on the floor, said Fidge irritably. She stopped to pick up Eleanor, who was a purple elephant with a pink skirt, huge long pink eyelashes and a pink fluffy hairdo. She's asleep, said Minnie. Wed Wabbit made them all go to bed early because they've been naughty. Oh, Fidge looked down and realised that the teddies and dolls had been arranged in long rows as if in a dormitory. Even the doll's buggy was lying on its side, covered with a blanket. Next to it, a silver bus with pink wheels had a little pillow under its front bumper. As usual, only Wed Wabbit was in bed with Minnie. Okay, sighed Fidge, sitting on the bed and plopping the elephant down beside her. You sure you want this book? We must have read it 8 million times. I want it. How about I just read 2 pages? No, 5 pages. Mum, Fidge is being mean. Please, Fidge, just read her the whole book. It's not that long, called her mother, sounding weary. Fidge pulled a face, opened The Land of Wimberly Woos, and started to read the horribly familiar lines. In Wimberly Land live Wimberly Woos, who come in many different hues, in yellow, pink and green and blue, in orange, grey and purple too. The first picture showed a group of happy-looking Wimberleys. Each was a different colour, but they were all shaped like dustbins with large round eyes and short arms and legs, and they radiated a sort of idiotic jollity. Fidge turned the page and continued to read in a bored, rapid mutter. Yellow are timid, blue are strong, grey are wise and rarely wrong, green are daring, pink give cuddles, orange are silly and get in muddles, purple Wimbleys understand the past and future of our land. Read it properly with expression, commanded Minnie, who could almost certainly pronounce the letter R if she really tried, but who was too used to people going, ooh, how cute, whenever she spoke to want to make the effort. Fidge carried on reading with a fraction more feeling. Many talents make a team, so Wimberly Woos can build their dream by sharing skills, plans, gifts and arts, for caring for each other's farts. It's not farts, shouted Minnie, outraged. It's caring for each other's hearts. If you know it that well, then you don't need me to read it to you, do you? But Wed Wabbit wants to hear it too. Does he? Fidge looked at Wed Wabbit, who was sitting next to Minnie. He was very large and made of maroon velvet, with huge stiff ears, long drooping arms and legs, and tiny black eyes. He was her sister's favourite toy, bought from a charity shop 2.5 years ago, just a week after their father died. Minnie had spotted the rabbit in the shop window and had darted in and wrapped her arms around him and hadn't let go. He'd been her favourite toy ever since, and perhaps because the awfulness of that week still sat like a weight on Fidge's head, she'd never liked Wed Wabbit. Most soft toys, in Fidge's opinion, looked either smiley or sad, but Wed Wabbit had a horribly smug expression, like a clever child who knows he's the teacher's favourite and never gets told off. She avoided his gaze and turned the page to an illustration of a group of Wimbly-Woos scratching their heads. "Oh, here's the bit where they try to think of a birthday present for the king of the Wimbleys," she said with fake excitement. "I wonder what they'll come up with. Dinner for two at a top sushi restaurant, a personalised number plate. Weed it to me. A spa weekend. Please," said Minnie, placing a small hand on Fidge's arm. "Please weed my book." But because Minnie, when she wasn't showing off or being annoying or screechy or whiny, was really quite sweet, Fidge stopped mucking around and read the whole of it, for the 8 millionth time. Over the course of 20 irritating pages, the Wimbly-Woos organised a huge game of hide-and-seek as their surprise gifts for the king, had a big celebration picnic, and sang their deeply soppy Wimbly-Woo song as the sun set behind the lollipop-shaped trees of Wimblyland. "Wimbly-Woo, Wimbly-Woo, pink and green and grey and blue, yellow and orange and purple too, a rainbow of sharing in all we do." Fidge turned the page and looked at the last picture. It showed a mixed crowd of Wimbleys standing on a hill looking up at the moon. At some point, Minnie had drawn a moustache on all of the purple ones. Minnie herself was almost asleep. Fidge tucked her in, slid the book onto the cluttered bedside table, and then snatched it up again. Amongst the junk was a small carton of juice, and it was now on its side, and a pool of orange was spreading over the tabletop. Hastily, Fidge picked up the carton, then looked around for something to blot the juice with. Wed Wabbit seemed to catch her eye, his smirk as infuriating as ever, and before she knew what she was doing, she'd grabbed him by the ears and was pressing him down onto the spill. The effect was miraculous. Wed Wabbit acted like a huge sponge. The pool shrank steadily and then disappeared without trace, the orange making no stain at all on the dark red velvet. Fidge, feeling relieved but a bit guilty, checked that Minnie was definitely asleep and then sat Wed Wabbit onto the radiator and went back to her packing. They were going on an outdoor activities holiday. Her mother and Minnie were going to pot around and play in the children's pool, and Fidge was going to learn how to canoe, dive, abseil, climb, navigate, pothole and go-kart. She took an old t-shirt from the drawer and began to roll it very, very tightly. She had to leave enough space for the flippers her mother had promised to buy her. But it wasn't until the next afternoon that the terrible thing happened. And that's the end of chapter 1. Now, this book will be in school if anybody wants to read it. I'm going to give it to Miss Oliver, I think. So go and find Miss Oliver if you'd like to read the rest of this story, or if you'd like her to read it to you if you're in her class. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Sleep well. Good night from me and Teddy. Bye-bye.